day with the smokes out in our community. Communities like South County already struggle with air quality issues. Right? So what do? We're going to organize, we're going to work with our elected leaders, and we're going to ensure that all of our communities are protected. So again, thank you all for being out here today and organizing with us. And I'm going to kick it over to my co-MC, Roxana.
Woo!
Thank you, Hamdi. I'm so pumped and excited to be here in person for one of the first times. Doesn't it feel like a family reunion? Yes! Leaders from all over the state, from Vancouver to Ellensburg to Skagit to South King County to Yakima. We are so excited to have us all in the room together. So, y'all, like Hamdi, I am ready to build power with all of you.
Woo!
Yes. But I also have a really serious question. Who is making decisions about our lives, about your life? Who is deciding if the air you breathe is clean? If your home and your rent is affordable? If you can have access to childcare and high quality early learning? Whether you can elect people who actually represent you to office? I'll tell you who. It's people with power. Now we, as a community at OneAmerica Votes, we have some power.
Woo!
Yeah, we do. Because of our power, thousands of students in Washington State can learn their home language in school.
Woo!
And so many of you in the room fought for that. Because of our power, we flipped the state Senate and passed historic voting rights legislation.
Woo!
Because of our power, we won over $350 million in an immigrant relief fund for our undocumented immigrants.
Woo!
And let's take a moment and make some noise for all of our legislative champions who are here today who've taken risks, put themselves on the line, and made those wins happen. Can we give them a
Woo!
But is what we want enough? Do we have everything we need as a community to thrive? This is precisely why we have built OneAmerica Votes. OneAmerica Votes is a power-building organization. We organize to center the voices and experiences in every system that touches our lives. So while we've done a lot, we have so much more to do. And the good news is, we have a vision for how we'll get there. We built the Our Thriving Home platform because we're no longer going to accept crumbs and live our lives just simply trying to get by. Immigrants and refugees deserve to thrive. We all deserve to thrive.
Woo!
The story that is being told about our communities and families, the stories that we don't belong, that there isn't enough to take care of all of us, that our communities don't deserve power, that our languages aren't valuable, that we are criminals, these are lies.
Lies.
These are lies.
Lies.
But we can and we will win a thriving home. But I'm going to be real, it's not going to be easy. It will take all of us talking to voters, lobbying our legislators, and organizing folks who for so long have felt unsafe, unheard, and uncared for to come together with us and build a path forward.
Woo!
Are you ready to do that with me?
Woo!
Okay, I need more. Are you ready to do that with me? It's not going to be easy.
Woo!
Okay. All right, that's better. Director.
Woo!
Because she believes that people like me, people like Hamdi, and all of you here today are the heart of our movement. So it is my privilege and honor to the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and Congresswoman for the 7th Congressional District, Pramila Jaypal. Let's give her a warm welcome.
Woo!
So happy to see you here as executive director. You are doing a fantastic job. She's right, she doesn't take no for an answer, because I remember when I met her and she followed me through the hall to get an internship at OneAmerica, even though we weren't taking MSW interns at that time. And she was like, I'm going to organize everything. You don't have to do anything. You just need to let me have a place in the organization. And look now at what an incredible dynamic.
Woo!
As well, because it's the same thing. Hamdi Mohamed started working with us when we were fighting for the last census, and she was so articulate about what the census meant and why we needed to organize around the census. For the first time, we didn't have little rooms with 5 mainly white men sitting there deciding what the lines were going to be. We had people like Hamdi, and she went on television, and she absolutely blew everybody away. And so it's no surprise that we have the first Somali woman as our port commissioner, as an elected official in the state of Washington. She's doing an amazing job. And with both of them, and with so many of you, what we are doing is getting different voices in the room. We are getting people who can speak about the issues through lived experiences, through the organizing that they have done, and there's a whole group of legislators right here who are in the same boat. I remember taking Rebecca Saldana to have margaritas and make sure that she ran for the state.
Woo!
And of course, my state senator is here, Nguyen. You're going to hear from
Woo!
all of them. And here's the thing. What we are doing is transforming leadership. We are transforming. It's not that we don't have power. We do have power. It's that the power is not necessarily residing in the rooms where decisions are being made. And so what we are doing is building a different model where we are actually allowing people whose lives are affected by these decisions to be at the table. And that is an amazing, amazing thing. And Jesse, you are a wonderful example of how you actually make change happen. You have a specific policy, you organize around it, you help bring legislators along, and you achieve a really, truly meaningful outcome. So thank you so much for your incredible
Woo!
So, I was listening to Roxana and I was getting a little emotional because it was one day, 21 years ago tomorrow, that we started what was then Heat-Free Zone, changed the name in 2008 to OneAmerica, started OneAmerica Votes sometime after that. And I remember that day very, very clearly, and I think that today it's about remembering not only the widespread and devastating attacks that Roxana talked about, that so many of us felt, but also about realizing the incredible amount of power that we collectively have been able to build for immigrant communities in the state of Washington, creating, I think, policies and momentum around so many different things that have really led the nation as well.
Woo!
And so
Woo!
I really want to thank you, OneAmerica Votes, for all of that work, and to say that, those things after 9/11 were about saying that hate has no place here. We didn't know at that time that that would turn into fighting for civil rights and civil liberties for everybody. We didn't know that Mohammed Sheikh Hassan was going to walk into the room and talk to us about what was happening to Somali grocers. And maybe some of you remember that. It was right down the street from my house that these Somali grocery stores were shut down, that the federal DOJ officials, FBI, came in to raid those stores, and that people lost their livelihoods and their businesses simply because somebody believed that maybe they were part of crimes that were being committed, money that was being transferred to terrorist organizations. And that story was on the front page of the newspaper. The apology was not. The apology was not. But we had to fight for that, and we won in many senses of the word, but not in the sense of destroying people's lives. And of course, shortly after that, the Somali deportations and all of the work that we did, also then to realize that around the state, there was work to be done in organizing Latino immigrants, AAPI immigrants, African immigrants, people whose contributions could not be missed. And that ultimately, when we talk about thriving and not surviving, which I really believe, this isn't just about what we have a right to. It's about what we deserve.
Woo!
It's about what we deserve. And so we are working very hard to make sure that we can achieve those policies in government, whether it's at the state level or the federal level. But what we really need is an organized force of people who are building a movement for policy change, who are actually turning out voters, who are actually electing people, who are actually running for office themselves, and ultimately changing the entire landscape of what is possible, because we deserve so much more.
Woo! Woo!
We deserve a private home, don't we? Yes, we do.
Woo!
We deserve everything and more than what we are currently being told, much more than what we are currently being told. So see, I haven't stuck to my script at all. Sorry, that's what happens when I come here to OneAmerica.
Woo!
But here's the thing, we know that immigration policy has been one of the hardest pieces for us to pass. A path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, a family system that works beautifully and allows us to be with our family members, a work system that actually respects the dignity and the labor of our work, and a humane system of enforcement that doesn't put people in private detention centers and jails simply for not being able to have the documents that they needed right when they needed it. And so that is the work that we know we have to do in Congress. As the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, 101 members strong, Congressional Progressive Caucus,
Woo!
we are working very hard to make that happen. And I'll tell you, I never thought that I would be in politics. I didn't like the politicians very much. I was asked a lot of times to run for office, and I was like, no, I like being on the outside. I like doing some civil disobedience, good trouble, getting arrested a few times. But it's important, and I decided to run. And now I'm so proud to serve as the first South Asian American woman in the United States House, and one of only about 24 naturalized citizens. And so when I sit on the Judiciary Committee, we can talk about what these policies really mean to people across the country, because I've actually sat with undocumented immigrants, generations of undocumented immigrants. I've sat with Muslim immigrants. I've sat with people from all over the world and heard the dreams that people have when they come to this country, the incredible sacrifices that people have made when they walk across deserts with no shoes to get to the United States, when they escape war and trauma. And those are the stories that your organizing and your voter work allows to happen. And so I am really excited that we have a number of state legislators here, and that you are advocating for the money, much of which we sent from the federal government through the American Rescue Plan. Please don't ever let anyone tell you Democrats haven't done anything. We haven't done enough. But we have passed an American Rescue Plan that saved businesses and that is still funding childcare in this state, that funded that undocumented relief fund, that allowed the state legislature to do so much. We have an infrastructure bill that is creating jobs. We have created, with the Inflation Reduction Act, the first major investment in climate change in the history of our country.
Woo!
And what you fight for here is exactly what we're fighting for. If we can hold the House, if we can get 2 more Senate seats, then we can pass universal child care for every family, universal pre-K. We can have all of the pieces of an education system that are so important. And so I'm really looking forward to supporting OneAmerica Votes' work to make sure that the state legislature continues to do that work, and I'm counting on all of you to make sure that we ensure that everyone has the safety and the security that they need to thrive, that our schools serve all of us, and that we continue to understand what is at stake in this election. And this is where I'm going to end. Some of you have seen the stories about what's been happening at my house and the guy who showed up with a gun at my house and threatened to kill me, and some of the horrible things that we all get. We all hear these things. I want to tell you that we are on the precipice of a very dangerous path in the United States. If we don't ensure that we maintain control of Congress, we could have people who don't believe in elections, who don't believe in fair and free elections, who don't believe that President Biden is the legitimate president, and that think that it's okay for people to attack and swarm the Capitol and create an insurrection. The worst violent attack on the United States Capitol since the War of 1812. That's what happened on January 6th. And we could have people who continue to empower the Supreme Court to strip away our fundamental freedoms. Freedoms to make choices about our own bodies, freedom to be able to vote, the single most important thing in a democracy, freedom to be able to marry who you want to marry, freedom to actually have settled law that has been the law of the land for 50 years continue to be the law of the land. So that is everything that is at stake. And this morning, I was on TV very early, and I was kind of grumpy that I had decided to go on TV at 6 in the morning. And I was talking about what happened to me, and I was making the connection between January 6th, between the big lie, January 6th, and what happened to me at my house. And I finished that piece, and I got a wonderful call from somebody who said, "Hi, Pramila, this is Joe Biden, and I want to thank you for your courage and your resilience in speaking out." And so what I want to say to you today is, don't be afraid to be vulnerable with your stories. Don't be afraid to speak out when no one else is speaking out. Definitely talk about the things that you want and deserve in your life, and organize like you have never organized before.
Woo!
Let's get every single voter that can vote to the polls. Let's make sure that they understand the issues that are in front of us, that they understand the stakes, and that they understand the power that an individual voter can have in flipping an election. Elections here go by very few votes, and this room, getting people organized, bringing people in, registering people to vote, getting candidates ready to run for office, that is the work that changes the course of the future and makes us preserve our democracy.
Woo!
So thank you all so much for what you do. Thank you for having faith and hope in our democracy, our Constitution, and let's go get them, because we believe in justice for all.
Woo!
And this is particularly important for immigrant families because we know that immigrants and refugees represent a large portion of the workforce that supports childcare and early learning. We know that childcare and early learning systems are foundational for our state's economy, our children's development, and our families' well-being. And investing in these systems only means that we build stronger families, stronger communities, and a stronger state.
Woo!
I want to say, Washington State legislators, we have an opportunity in 2023 to be a leading state in closing the wealth gap and ensuring those making the most are paying their fair share of taxes so we can all make Washington a thriving home for all.
Woo!
Will you support and help champion passing a wealth tax in Washington? that ensures we have more funding for vital state programs that support working youth.
Okay, Senator, I'm going to step into my power here and hold the microphone so that we can stay on time. So we have 2 minutes to answer.
The most dangerous thing you can do is give a legislator a microphone. Not only do I support the wealth tax, we're working on it right now within the tax structure work group to present to the legislative body for next year. So looking forward to supporting it in the legislature and the Senate and making sure that it passes. I think one of the biggest things that we have to understand too is that in Washington State is literally one of the wealthiest states in the history of humanity. We have some of the wealthiest people to ever exist in the history of humanity here. We should not have a lack of resources when it comes to serving the people that need it the most. And to give you an idea, New York City, right? New York City is about the same size as Washington State. Their annual budget is $100 billion. Just New York City by itself. And Washington State is a quarter of that. So just making sure that folks pay their fair share to unlock tremendous benefits for all those in Washington State. I'm not even asking for them to pay more than their fair share. I'm just saying recognize the value and worth that have been taken from communities who have put in the labor and the work to create that wealth. So that's why it's important for us to
Thank you for the questions, and thank you for sharing in the room and with me, my colleague, your story. And thank you for introducing your mother and your children. What your story tells is really stating why you do this work. The very foundational work of ensuring every Washingtonian life. Multiple generations, the way the tax structure is created currently and currently is approving. And if I don't support it, and if I don't change it, like, you should hold me accountable.
Woo!
So let's start with that. But secondly, we are talking about generational wealth. We are talking about generationally we working really darn hard. And where the wealth ended up in, it ended up a few individuals in Washington State. I believe, so Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. In Washington State, if we would have, according to the policy that was introduced in 2021, the wealth tax taxing 1 billionaire, we have roughly 97 millionaires in the state. And those people, those 97, could actually provide so much services and support it for millions of people in Washington State. And why are we not doing that? I'm wrapping up. It's like, this is not fair. I want to be Java. I want to talk as long as I want to, because our people deserve that too. Our people deserve the platform. Our people deserve to talk until everything needs to be say.
Woo!
I'm not sure where we are, but I will be really proud to sponsor the House side, the wealth tax for Washington in 2023 session.
Woo!
Yes, let's see those signs in the air.
Woo!
As our legislators are signing the pledge.
Woo! This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Woo!
Thank you. We need to ensure that our communities are funded, and so thank you to our representative Thai and Senator Nguyen for signing the pledge. Please give them another round of applause.
Woo!
Our vision is a thriving home where we all have what we need. That's what our signs say. Including access to unemployment support, especially for our undocumented workers who have been on the front lines of this pandemic, who have billions to our economy and don't get anything back from it. Let's have our amazing leader, Adriana, join me to share why economic support is vital. And it looks like our representatives are already on the stage. Please give a round of applause to Senator Rebecca Saldana and Representative Mia Ritter.
Woo!
My name is Adriana Lopez-Garcia, and I am OneAmerica Votes and I'm so happy to be here with all of you. I was born in a town in the state of Oaxaca, and moved to Vancouver area for 20 years ago, where my 2 beautiful daughters were born and are being raised. These have been our home for many years, and I hope with all my heart it doesn't change. Need-status families like mine are always living with uncertainty of when and how one member of the family will be taken away by immigration enforcement.
That ain't right. No.
Like my daughter's dad, I came up with on his way to work in the morning, was stopped and made his way. This is the reality for immigrants who are undocumented. I've been a single mom, and now I have to work myself to the one who provides for my parents. During the pandemic, I learned the hard way that mixed-status families not only have to be worried about being separated from our loved ones, but despite working hard and paying all our taxes, we do not have the right to access many safety net services like employment.
That's not right. It's not
We're
right.
treated like second-class citizens. I have seen close family members, friends, and people in the community getting laid off and struggling to provide the basic needs for their kids. I see them having to choose between gas for their car to go out and look for work, paying rent, paying for cell phone service, or buying food for their family. Having access to employment benefits will greatly reduce so many families that face this risk every day. We shouldn't have to worry about choosing between food and a safe place to sleep for our kids. And we could put our energy in getting a new job so we can continue providing for our families. We're asking to have access to safety nets that every resident in the state has, so we can get back to the streets and continue contributing to our community and time our hearts.
Woo!
Sharing my story is hard and scary, but I know that I need to speak up and encourage others to do the same, because too many continue having this painful experience. We need unemployment benefits for undocumented immigrants because we, just like you all, also have families to take care of. Representative Ferguson, would you support and help champion passing legislation that will create unemployment benefits for undocumented immigrants?
First of all, thank you so much for telling your story. And actually, it's a sign of strength for you to tell your story. It's very inspiring. And it's one of those things that we're going to continue to take back into Libya as we champion and work very hard to pass this legislation.
Woo!
And so many people in our state, 300,000 immigrants, contribute to our economy every day in Washington state alone. And when we were in the heat of this pandemic, we had workers working in smoke-filled fields, very much like this one, that we see today. And not only were people excluded for unemployment insurance, they were excluded from all federal relief Whether you were documented or not, if you lived with a mixed status family, you were excluded. This was not right.
Not right.
And so we stood up because One America, the Immigrant Network, so many people came and organized and pushed our governor to make sure that we had a robust relief fund. And because of your work, we were able to do early action when COVID came to make sure we got money out the door. We're now doing our third round of unemployment, not unemployment insurance, but worker relief funds to lay the groundwork, because the problem is that people are doing your work. You deserve this, and you are owed unemployment insurance if you are putting the work in.
Woo!
We are working right now with our coalition on legislation. What I will ask of you as well is that I need our colleagues to be invited to hear your stories in your community. I'll be in Pasco. I want to be invited, and I know that my colleagues here will help make sure that the local electeds are showing up and hearing your stories, because we need to hear it. Because not only do we need the highest earners to be able to pay what they owe, we need to make sure that the people that are doing the work get paid what they are owed.
Woo! Woo!
And childcare in the 37th district.
Woo!
Anila is also in the room. Please give her a round of applause. Chef Son is in the room as well, who has been a part of one of the families for a very long time. And so next I have the privilege of welcoming our grassroots leader, Teresa. And she will be joined by our legislators, Senator Wilson. Can I have Senator there
Woo!
you go, and Senn, and former representative and candidate, Kristen Reeves will be also joining us on
Woo!
the stage. Please give them a round of applause.
Hola a todos.
Hola!
My name is Teresa, Rosario's daughter, Teresa's granddaughter, Claudia's sister, Alondra's mother, my beautiful daughter, and teacher of too many children. I live in the 30th legislative district. I have two neighbors next to me today. I am an immigrant from Mexico, and I have three wonderful children. Two of them have the privilege to have DACA, and one of them is citizen. I have lived in Washington State for 11 years and 22 years in the United States of America. I have been leader with OneAmerica for over a decade.
Woo!
When I first started, I was organizing with parents like me to make sure our children had language accessible education. The first time I hosted a meeting, no one showed up. It was discouraging, but I didn't give up. Thank you, Roxana.
Woo!
I kept organizing and talking to people about the importance of creating an educational system that empowers. And thank you, because I learned too much for you. Thank you. I kept organizing and talking to people about the importance of creating an educational system that empowers all families.
Woo!
We were about to get 200 parents to testify for language access at federal high school district school board meeting.
Woo!
Senator Wilson was there. I was trained to work with young children, and thanks to my advocacy work, I found a pathway to do it. I joined to early learning workforce as a bilingual teacher, and thanks to different scholarships, I earned my bachelor's degree in early childhood education.
Woo!
And I really want to get my master's degree in education to support too many parents that do not know how to deal with the American system. I will children, for all the children. Teachers like me need to have support to achieve educational services and experiences. We need scholarships.
Yes.
We are essential. We need to respect. We need to be respected. And get better payment for what we do.
Woo!
Yes!
Woo!
Too many educators and caregivers struggle to make ends meet, while many parents in our communities struggle to find affordable childcare, let alone with a provider that speaks the same language or can provide a cultural relevant classroom. Immigrants work hard, and we are resilient. We care about our families and communities. We deserve quality access to early learning resources.
Woo!
To provide our children with the tools they need to be successful. Thank you for what has been done, but I think there is too much more that we can do together. And too many people outside are dreaming to be teachers like I am. And I know that Latino, Chinese, and tons of immigrants are the workforce outside. We don't see too many white women, too many white men, too many white people working and dealing with every single children and trauma that is coming to our classrooms. We have to take care and love. We don't have to. We love what we do. We childcare, we caregivers, we are educators. We are not more nannies. We are educated because we want to have the best experiences for children. And if other teachers who hasn't been have their education yet, they need you. They need people who can encourage them. Senator Wilson, Representative Senn, and Representative caregivers are working together on a plan that will make sure they have the money to make a living wage and give us the care we deserve. I don't have enough money to go and do my master, but it's okay. I have my bachelor, and that gives me some respect already. Before, my works, they were not taken care because I was nobody for some people. Now, I have a bachelor degree. I can do it. OneAmerica Votes have shown me how to do it, and that's why I am here, supporting every single one who has been part of this. Will you support and fight for me and all the childcare workers to have a compensation?
Without a doubt.
Woo!
And I speak for myself, but I know I speak for many others, and I would say the whole child care system was created from women, and particularly immigrant refugee women, in communities of color. And it was never set up to be a business model. It was because kids and children needed to be cared for and safe and quality places, and families and women stepped up to do that. Exactly. I would say thank you. Thank you. And I think that we're in a place, in a world where sometimes you have to do the wrong thing, you have to do it right, and it should never be. And that families need to have support from day one. These are not poverty programs, these are programs, these are places and spaces that will create economic recovery, and that's what we need. But we also cannot put individuals into a pathway to poverty, which means we have to have living wage jobs, we have to have health care, we have to have a compensation package that's equitable, that means that we can dream and thrive and live in a community. So without a doubt, we certainly continue the work that we've been doing, not only in the last 4 years in the Senate, but the last 3 years in the community.
Woo!
I'm Tana Senn, and it has been
honor to work with Senator Wilson and so many of you to pass, in particular, the Fair Start for Kids Act.
Woo!
Last year, to make sure that we made significant investments in early learning and child care. And I want to tell you that the multiple facets of that bill came from the stories that we heard traveling across the community, visiting family homes, child care centers, family, friends, and neighbors, parents, early achievers, coaches, everyone, to find out what you really need on the ground to make your businesses better, your lives better, and the futures and the possibilities for our kids better. And you know what? We passed that amazing piece of law. And a lot of those aspects are now in law, but haven't yet been implemented. And really excited for those to be coming online this year and next. And that includes fundamental things like bonuses for bilingual teachers.
Woo!
We know, and we are recognizing and valuing how important it is to have bilingual teachers. Thank you. We are providing more money for complex needs, for when you service children with disabilities and when you experience trauma. We are giving you more money and more training to be able to do that. Thank you. We also created equity grants, exactly what we were hearing from a speaker earlier that, and I think it was from Josh said, you know, there are so many different communities and different cultures that we want to recognize and we want to support. And let's allow and help our child care to purchase that extra music, the creativity in the room, to get extra training in different cultures so that we can bring that to our kids and celebrate that this whole way. But I have to say, if we do not pay our teachers, if we do not recruit teachers in the communities that, you know, we already know you guys provide amazing care, to reflect our children and our growing diverse children, we are doing a disservice. So we will continue to fight so hard to be able to pay a living wage, continue the health care that we started paying for, the Fair Start for Kids Act this year, which has signed up more than 3,000 child care providers with health care for the first time. With the capital gains tax not being repealed on this November's ballot, I am pleased to say we should have the money to do it.
Woo!
So I was always taught that when you make a promise to somebody, you stand up straight, you look them in the eye, and I'm going to tell you my promise to you is the answer is yes, without a doubt, without question, without reservation. As a mom of 2 young kids, as somebody who grew up in and out of foster care, who's experienced homelessness, I know the power that our early learning community has in not just helping our children survive, but helping them thrive. I was proud to champion child care reform when I was in the legislature before. I am looking forward to not just doing the work of making sure that our child care providers are paid an equitable wage. We need to get to universal child care. We need to get to universal early learning. And quite frankly, we don't need to keep perpetuating a system that was built out of chattel slavery, that was built on the backs of women and people of color. We need to be transforming a system so that we are fighting for a future that includes all of us. And that is my promise to you. That is my commitment to do the work to make sure that through accessible, affordable, high-quality early learning and child care, we are creating equity in every single community in this state.
Woo!
And please say thank you to the wonderful people who is taking care of our needs.
Woo! Woo!
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you to our champions. We'd love to have you sign the pledge. Let's give these folks another round of applause.
Woo! Deserve a raise! Deserve a raise! Deserve a raise! Woo! I'm coming.
good legislations, right? It takes the elected leaders. It also takes all of us showing up and holding elected leaders accountable, even like myself. So with that said, I'm going to introduce our next leader. I'm going to introduce the next leader. All right.
So I'm so proud to have a powerful, beautiful slate of One-America Votes endorsed candidates for this year today.
Woo!
And now I want to invite our mayors to make decisions to endorse this pro-immigrant slate, which is committed to governing with us at this time.
Woo!
And we're so proud to have these folks with us here today. And there's so many folks that we've endorsed that weren't able to make it, but their names are up on the screen. I'm going to give you all a mic just to introduce yourself for 15 seconds, just your name and the position you're running for. Okay? Let's start with our amazing champion over here, Emijah Smith.
Woo!
I am the daughter of Nguyen and brother Benjamin Shabar, and the daughter of Miller Victoria Johnson. I am running for the 37th in South Seattle.
Woo!
South Seattle Skyway. And I just thank you. I'm going to say more later.
Woo!
So my name is Charlotte Anna. I'm running for state representative in the 29th legislative district.
Woo! Woo!
Rebecca Saldana, State Senator, running the 37th Legislative District. Thank you so much.
Woo!
For re-election in the 41st Legislative District, and proud granddaughter and daughter of immigrants and Holocaust.
Woo!
Senator Sarah Wilson running for re-election in the 30th. I'm the daughter of Hilton Montana Prolic, who came to this country during the war. Her greatest memory was Christmas. So I'm here.
Woo!
I'm running for re-election for the 33rd Legislative District.
Woo!
Elected to the Jackson Council and and more.
All right, let's give it one more thing. I want to feel that power.
Woo! Woo! This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Woo!
To sign our pledge and to commit to our platform, and we were very excited to join government with you all and support you to get across the finish line. Thank you.
Woo!
Active to say that I am a descendant of stolen ones in this country. So although it's not possible to immigrant or refugee experience, it is very much a significant experience here in the U.S. and I'm celebrating great privilege.
Woo!
Emijah and so many others have been instrumental to us seeing the intersections of our movements and knowing that when we fight for immigrant rights, for LGBTQ rights, we have to fight to eliminate Islamophobia and every other ism that we are all experiencing and sit at the center of. Thank you.
Woo!
I echo those words, Roxana, and there wouldn't be
At the same time, I guess you work with the most amazing group of people like Roxana, Melissa, who are dedicated, we're dedicated to ensuring that we have a voice when it comes to getting these critical services for them and their families. Since Washington is a progressive state, I have hope for positive results. But, and the key word is but, we need to ensure that it stays that way by holding our elected officials responsible to their commitments, like the very pledge that they signed just moments ago.
Woo!
That's why I love OneAmerica Votes, because we are all about holding people accountable to follow through and ensuring our voices are centered in policy.
Woo!
I hope my story inspires you to not only help yourself and your families, but also empower you to create a change through grassroots organizations. Let's keep pushing for progress, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
I appreciate everyone who's here physically and watching.
My name is Sandra, and I serve on the Vancouver Public School Board. To be one of the first Latinas to serve on the school board has been one of a kind accomplishment.
Woo!
As a first generation immigrant student who went through the K-12 system as an ELL student, I never would have imagined I'd be part of the Vancouver School Board. I am so grateful to be here with all of you today, and I also want to introduce my son, Sebastian, who will be leading this with me.
Woo!
Hello, my name is Sebastian Martin of a immigrant. I'm a grandson of immigrants.
Woo!
My grandma, my mom's mom, left to Mexico 2 years ago and cannot come back for 10 years. I feel lonely without her. What I miss the most is thinking is campfires together as a family. I really hate being separated from my family. I miss mi abuelita. Thank you.
My family and my friends. My husband, Luiselio, did everything possible to get me released from the immigration jail. After my release, my dear friend and organizer, Rick Covington, who recently passed away, contacted OneAmerica, and we started volunteering and advocating for immigration, including closing inhumane private immigration prisons.
Woo!
I learned that the only way to make sure others don't experience what I did was to organize.
Woo!
So I started knocking on doors because I knew this wasn't right. Door knocking is a way to talk to people and spread the word that detaining and deporting immigrants must stop, and we need to change the system. I remember the first time in campus, I was terrified. My English skills were low, and I did not have a legal status. Who else has felt like me in this room? Yeah, it can be scary to meet with strangers and engage in serious conversation about our rights. But they are important conversations to have because there are people waiting for us to knock on their doors and give them some hope that together we can make powerful change.
Woo!
OneAmerica Votes was the first place I took this risk, and it paid off.
Woo!
The team encouraged me, trained me, and ensured that I was set up for success. By the end of the day, I felt accomplished. I knew that each conversation made a difference, and I needed to encourage voters to exercise their right to vote and educate them on the solutions our immigrant communities need. In 2016, after a long
new citizens registered and get ready to vote, and it was finally my day.
Woo!
I think my voting provides an incredible opportunity to share my story and empower immigrant voters by explaining the importance of making our voices heard. I have known thousands of doors with OneAmerica Votes. I know that many conversations with people at the door have led to the election of people who represent me and my experiences, like Sandra Zavala. Knocking on doors might seem scary at first. However, it is necessary that we talk to voters and educate them. Getting together with people who share values is amazing. I get to know new people and sharpen my social and language skills. My goal today is inspiring you to act with us.
Yes.
If you are here today, it is because you and I have so much in common and we are stronger together.
Woo!
We are now going to spend time doing just that, talking to voters to help elect these people who have committed to being champions and work with us on these issues. Who here is ready to make close with me?
Woo!
We have a goal of 2,000 dials today. Can you raise your hands? Ready with me to do this for vote? Well, that is not enough hands to do all these 2,000 dials. Let's see your hands. All right, thank you so much.
Woo!
Sen, my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the field manager at OneAmerica Votes.
Woo!
So like we've heard, we've been doing a lot of talking, and now we're gonna start a little bit of doing. We're gonna follow through and walk the walk. I've been organizing for a really long time, actually since I was 14, but the first time that I engaged in political advocacy was in 2018 on a ballot initiative with the Alliance for Gun Responsibility. My field team were 5 people, and we were tasked with gathering 100,000 signatures for registered voters, and we had 4 weeks to do it. That is a really daunting thing. And if we were going to succeed, we actually would be setting a state record for the fastest signature gathering drive in Washington State history. I was fresh out of college, and I was completely terrified, because that is a lot of work for a fresh college grad. But luckily, I wasn't alone. We had a really, really strong base of community members that had been waiting for this moment for years. They were fed up and they were hungry. They were willing to do the work to create the world that they wanted to see. And after 4 excruciating weeks, I was standing in front of the Secretary of State's office with 100 volunteers that I hadn't even known a few months before, and we had more than enough signatures to get our legislation on the November ballot. And that November, we passed one of the most comprehensive and largest gun reform legislation packages in our country's history.
Woo!
We can have that. Going out, talking to people about what matters, having these difficult conversations and building these relationships is what it takes for us to get to this thriving home vision that we've been talking about all day. Our democratic majority is at stake. We know how quickly things spiral when we have the wrong people in power. And we're the ones standing in between a really great election day and a really disappointing election day. So, Elizabeth mentioned that we want to see 2,000 dials today. Raise your hand if that makes you a little bit nervous. Maybe you kind of looking for the nearest exit. That's okay. It can be really terrifying to talk to
total strangers about political issues. But it's important. And I'll try to do it. So, fortunately, for those of you that are a little bit nervous, you're going to get a little bit of extra practice time because we are slightly over time. And so we are going to focus on getting ourselves trained, getting a little bit of practicing, so that when we hop on the phones for our next shift, we are all ready and trained and geared to go. Okay. And so that is round away and script a little bit more. Different stories. Let's stand up. Come on, everybody stand up. Shake it off. Okay. Okay, that's fine. I'm doing it on stage, so you can do it down there. Okay. We are going to make some commitments. Y'all that know me know that I don't ask for a commitment without following through. Raise your hand if you can commit to doing 5 electoral shifts in between now and election day. I'll be doing them. Let me see some hands. I see Roxana, Bianca, Jesse, there we go. All right, keep your hands up. Raise your hand if you can commit to 3 election shifts in between now and election day. All right, we've got some folks that are getting a little more comfortable. 3 shifts. Let's give a round of applause for the folks that are raising their hands. All right, keep your hands up. 2 election shifts. Raise your hand if you can commit to 2 election shifts. That's 5 hours of your time between now and election day.